Welcome to the recordings of Disabled Fireside Chats with Sane.
City boys, it's me, Saint, your city sheriff. And I know you guys saw the last Disabled Fireside Chats with Saint. I am looking the same. I just finished crying. But this is episode 8 of Disabled Fireside Chats with Saint. 8 Saint, it rhymes. That is why that this episode is going to be an important episode. The topic of this episode of Disabled Fireside Chats with Saint was going to be about feeling lost and living off of savings. Quick synopsis is hurt. I haven't worked for 2 months now to the date. 2 months. Before I left, I had a good amount I have a good amount in my savings, and I have separate savings, so that was never an issue. In my checkings account, I had a good amount, not as much as I had in my savings, but I had a good amount, not knowing what was going to happen to me. But once it did happen, I had to start tapping into not my savings, but my check-ins, because I was doing therapy, which I was doing every single week, which I had to pay some out of pocket. My mom's birthday came. I got my mother a birthday gift, especially for how much she was helping me during everything that I'm going through. But money does dwindle, especially when nothing is coming in. And money is still being sent to my savings, my different savings. I'm still sending money to them, even though I don't have any money coming in. But I don't really want to talk about that topic, especially because of the topics that I just touched on in my last fireside chats. And my emotions are still feeling extremely low. So I'm trying to be very aware of that and go into this fireside chat talking about something that will boost morale. And that is Black joy. How to find Black joy through trauma. This is something that I learned about, because the thing is, as a Black person, no matter diaspora, there's always joy. Like, we will find happiness in nothing. The rose that grew out of the concrete, that is being Black. Being Black is being placed in that pig pen. They want you to drown on the defecation. They want you to be covered in manure. They want you to feel worthless. They want you to feel as if you're nothing, as if you have no value, as if you cannot provide anything. But then you still have a smile on your face. That's what being Black is. And I had a class in my last semester in college. It was called my race and diversity class. I'll put the actual name right here if I didn't get it right. And I told myself that one of my goals before I graduated college was to learn more about my race, to learn more about how race plays a part in the United States of America and things of that sort. My first 2 years in college, first 2.5 years of college, I was a biochem major. So I wasn't really taking any classes about humans. I was learning more about the human biology. That was something that I was missing. And honestly, I didn't have a lot of joy necessarily in my life. But now when I look back on it, I've always had Black joy around me in different little areas. I told you guys about me and my brother making our own TV show. As children, we didn't really have a good childhood. But we had each other. And through all the confusion, through all the sadness, through all the despair, we found joy. We made a TV show. We entertained each other. We made the best of what we had. There were times where, like, my father would take off our Wi-Fi and take out our internet, so we had nothing, and at that time I remember my sister, she had got me a CD of American Horror Story Coven, and when I told you I watched that season at least 100 times, and this was during the summer, so like we didn't have anything to do, we didn't have anywhere to go. I watched that season to the point where I knew the words of of the characters, so I was like voicing it and all that. Black joy, you find joy wherever you can maneuver it. So how This is now me thinking of myself currently. How do I find my black joy? Physically in pain, mentally in anguish, socially isolated. Where does my joy come from? And like I brought up earlier, my mother's birthday had passed. I was finding joy, slight moments of joy in little moments like that, where it's like, oh gosh, I have something to look forward to, because I don't have anything to look forward to now, honestly. The things that I have looking forward to is my hip specialist appointments. I have my PT appointments. I have my knee surgeon appointments. Those are the things I look forward to, but they're not really fun. Where's the joy in that? Especially, there's no joy when you're not hearing any good answers, any good information. There's no joy when your healing process keeps getting postponed. So where do I find joy? I did my wrestler smash and pass video, and I found joy there. Because not only is it a form of escapism, because technically through the matches wrestling isn't real. The hits are real, but through the fights wrestling is not real. So it helps with that. I have great memories attached to it. And two of my favorite people love it. So I find a little bit of joy. But I don't know. It feels, I don't want to say it feels impossible. But honestly, I don't know what else to do. I don't. What brings you joy? What brings you guys joy? What brings a smile on your face? What is something that just thinking about it or doing it, no matter what state of mind you're in, will bring you happiness? What is that? Because everything that I do now just makes me feel more lost. One of the things that used to bring me joy was my art. And I always said that my art was just a bone-in on who I am, right? But it takes the right mind to decipher what I mean through my art. Sometimes just looking at it, you'd be like, oh, she's a dark person. Oh, she's an angry person, or anything like that, which is nothing of the sorts. But it was that release. And the release led to me feeling joy. The last piece that I made, I'll put it right here. When I will tell you, it's called Self-Portrait 2. Out of all of my pieces, this piece means the most to me. That piece says exactly how I feel right now. All the words that I cannot communicate. That piece feels like it holds all of my self-truths that I don't even understand. But yet the piece does nothing for me. It doesn't release anything off of me. It doesn't bring any closure to me. Do I feel like that because what I'm portraying and depicting in this piece is still currently going on? Is that why it does not change how I feel? These are questions. When I tell you, city boys, the things that I have seen, the things that I have experienced, and they just won't let go of me. Where is black joy? How far in between does black joy reside between black trauma? How far in between does black joy stand in between black trauma? Because now thinking about that, I wonder. Because all the situations that I either brought up or I think of where my slight remnants of black joy comes in is after long bouts of black trauma. So where does it come? I guess I'm kind of stepping back on what the premise of this video was. I'm still being optimistic. Black joy is present. Black joy is extremely strong. Spiritually, energetically, it is extremely strong. But when does it kick in? How far does black trauma need to go before black joy is created? How far? And is it black joy for some and still black trauma for others? How do we decipher that? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm sitting here and through all of this stuff, all I can do is think, sit, think, lay, think, sit, think, and lay. And when you sit, you realize how much you've truly been through. How much you've experienced. And you're still whole. Is that black joy? Because me sitting and thinking about some of my life, what I've seen, what I've felt, and what I've experienced, I wonder, is my black joy for me, or is my black joy for others? Because sometimes that's how I feel. Sometimes I just feel like a martyr. Like all these things are supposed to happen to me to help make life easier, more full of breath for another or for others. Because I always said it, I would never want anyone to ever feel like how I felt, given any of my given situations. I would never want anyone to ever feel like I felt. How do you know when you're absorbing too much? How? How do you know when it's time to just let go? What tells you that? And this is a question. What tells you that? What tells you that it's time to just let it go? For all my older city boys out there, all my older city boys, older than 25, let's say. I don't want to say older than 30. Let's say older than 30, because at least you lived a little bit more life. For all the things that has happened to you, let's say as in earlier things, right? Do you just let it go? Do you still hold on to a piece of it? Or instead of you holding on, is there a piece that won't let you go? How often do you think about it? Is it something that, in your opinion, has changed or reshaped your life? In your opinion, do you feel like if this event never happened, that you would be a completely different person? How? How are you even supposed to know that? In what ways could we decipher things that were meant to happen and things that had just happened? How do we decipher that? For those that believe that each life has a purpose, I have a question. Is the life and the purpose separate? And what I mean by that is, if the life has a purpose, right? A specific purpose that they're supposed to reach, does everything lead you to that purpose? So no matter what detour you take, you will lead there? Or does your life go a specific way for a specific reason? That's the question. But out of my black joy in this whole discussion, I want to make a movie. In that movie, I want it to encompass everything about me as a person. Not like, I don't want this to be like a autobiography or a biopic or something. It's way deeper than that. But I'm gonna take that part out. But yeah, City Boys, I have a few questions, and hopefully that you guys can answer those questions for me. But do I believe in black joy? Abso-freaking-lutely. Because if it wasn't for those bursts of black joy in my life, I don't know what would have been in my life. You know what I mean? I don't know what my life would have been. There's also small bursts of happiness did it for me. I'll give you guys my last little story of black joy, which is one of my favorites, before we end off this video. But I remember there was a time where me and my sister, like, we weren't really getting along, and we would argue all the time, like bad arguments. And at that time, me and my sister used to share a room, and my mother had me and my sister in the living room, and she wanted us to talk to each other about how we felt. And I told her how I felt, and now it was time for her to tell me how she felt. She told me how she felt, and as she's telling me this, like, my mother's like jumping in the conversation and agreeing with her, and basically just telling me, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, like shoving it down my throat, right? And for a good while after that, I felt like, you know, everybody in my household was like against me, because that's how it always felt. It always felt like everybody was ganging up on me, right? And when my mother's agreeing with my sister, I started arguing, because it's like, you know, one thing about me is like, I'm gonna stand up for myself. Like, I don't got nobody else to stand up for me. I always stand up for myself. Shit, who gonna have your back like how you got your back, you know? And so I'm arguing back, and they're just yelling at me, just telling me how wrong I am, how this I am, and, you know, just telling me all about myself, right? And at this time, it's probably like 10 o'clock at night. And I remember I'm just crying. And I text my best friend, Alex. I told Alex, I was like, yo, I need to get out of this house, man. Are you doing something? He's like, no, I'm not doing anything. Comes over by my house, we go on a walk. And when I tell you, I'm telling him what's going on, I'm crying. And this was like a little bit after Beyonce came out with her Lemonade album. And I remember I'm crying, I'm really going through it. And when I tell you, Alex, he listened to me. And then he picked up a stick, and he just starts twirling and fake hitting things with the stick, hitting the fire hydrant with the stick, singing the Beyonce Lemonade lyrics. And I just laughed. And he just kept going, kept singing, kept twirling, kept hitting, kept singing, kept twirling, kept hitting. And I just laughed, and I just laughed, and I just laughed. I laughed so much until I forgot about what I was crying about. And then we talked, we walked, and he sung and danced, and I laughed. We talked and we walked until it was time for me to go back home. Went back home. Although nobody was talking to me in my house, I was so happy. I just laid and I went to sleep. And at that time, it was one of the few nights I did not cry myself to sleep. And that's black joy. City boys, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to be a city boy, city boy. And guys, don't worry about me. I told you guys, I do these fireside chats. I just want to chat. I just want to talk. It's always peace and love with me. It's peace and love. Like Ringo Starr, it's peace and love. I don't wish nobody bad. I don't hate nobody. I may strongly dislike some folks, but I don't hate anybody. Honestly. I just want love, peace, and happiness. You know what I mean? Make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to become a city boy. Bye, city boys. And make sure y'all answer those questions that I asked y'all down below. No shade. I ain't asking no questions for no reason. No shade.